Hey, what's up, everybody? One coach's opinion. Remember, it's my opinion, and that's just about it. So this one's gonna be kind of short. Let's talk about those main events last night. Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, Shakur Stevenson, Oscar Valdez. That's what we waited up all night to see, those fights. I mean, the other fights were good too, don't get me wrong. Shout out to Troy, shout out to all the other guys. But let's just talk about the main events, and this is how I felt it went. I thought Oscar was gonna have to bounce around. If anything, I knew he wasn't gonna be able to overpower Shakur, and it kind of went like I thought it would go if Oscar tried to impose his will. And the funny thing is, you can see how big Shakur is for that size, for that weight class. So it's not going to be too many guys that say, oh, well, if you get in there, all you got to do is bully him. Because I don't think he's going to be bullied. He just really hasn't been in there with anybody who's been able to come close to bullying him for you to see that he's not really going to be bullied by a lot of fighters. His instincts, that little half step he takes back, he keeps everybody out of his range by standing right in front of him. That's a gift. A lot of guys can do that, and that's why I say Shakur Stevenson, he's one of those guys that your fighter might mess his fight game up trying to do the things that Shakur can do. He's that type of guy. He's like Floyd in there. It's certain things that Floyd do that can't be taught, that can't be mastered, and he's just going to be the best at doing them, and everybody else that tries to do it is not going to be that successful. And Shakur is one of those fighters. He looks like he puts everything together, from the pull downs to the step backs to the measuring with the jab to the freezing the jab out there. He'll do it until he'll do it until it becomes a foul. Until you tell him not to, he's going to exploit it. Looks like he's always using his mind in the ring. I mean, it's a pleasure to watch, and it was a pleasure to watch him finally fight somebody that nobody can say, oh, this guy was this, wait till he fights him, wait till he fights that. Only thing you can do right now about that fight is probably disrespect Oscar Valdez and try to downplay his performance. Believe me, Oscar Valdez did the best he probably could do in that situation. Which, I mean, not saying it's time to hang the glove. There's plenty of opportunities, but right now, I mean, you'll probably never get it back from Shakur. You had to wait for somebody to beat Shakur to even be relevant in that weight class again. So that's how I felt about that fight. I mean, masterful performance. Even though this wasn't the main event, look at Keyshawn Davis, the performance he put on against a guy that's 18-1. Now I don't look at the competition the guy fought at this level. When you got a guy with 4 or 5 fights, and he's fighting a guy with 19 fights, and the guy was successful 18 times, you can count that. But you still have to remember Davis's background, Davis's skill set, and what he is, and they'll be able to move him pretty fast. If that's the pace he wants. And that's definitely a fast pace if you're on your 4th or 5th fight and you're fighting a guy with 19 fights. So they're planning on moving you fast, and he seems like it's the right thing to do. So back to the main events. Shakur, masterful performance. I'm not sure where he goes next, to be honest. That fight really stepped up his game, to be honest. It stepped up people looking at him. It should have, at least. Now, it should have been ladies first, but let's talk about Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. I really think this is a kind of weird fight, and I'm going to tell you why. Amanda Serrano had everything that she needed to win that fight. And some might say she won that fight, but this is what I noticed. I mean, I gave her credit for walking her down and going forward, but at some point in time, she was supposed to make the adjustment. And this is the adjustment she didn't make. So you're walking her down, you have the power. So now it's to the point where Katie Taylor's to the point, the only thing I can do right now is fight Amanda Serrano off me. I can't beat her just toe-to-toe. I can't beat her being first. I can't beat her trying to dictate. The only way I can beat Amanda Serrano is really backing up, which you don't really see her do much, backing up and just punching when she tries to get in there. And that's what Amanda walked her down, and she started walking into punches. I mean, this is what I saw. Started walking into punches. I mean, it still looked like she's dictating the fight, but if you really look at it, she's not fainting. To me, she should have, her coach, well, let's say, I don't want you just, okay. Her coach should have told her, stop just marching in there, work behind your feints, let Katie punch off, make her punch, and then come behind her punches and then dictate. Because right now you're walking slamming to all of her punches. Now, it could have went the other way. If they would have said Amanda Serrano, I would have definitely given her, she led the pace, but she was walking into a lot of shots that I don't think Katie was planning. It was just, Amanda was just trying to impose her will, and it got to the point that maybe she didn't notice that you're walking into a lot of shots. You're backing her up. It's like she was a rat. It was like she was cornering a rat and making her fight. And the third part, she wasn't taking advantage of. So now, I just need you to swing. I'm going to make you miss, and then pop, 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 pop. Then pretty soon, you might stop swinging. And then I'm really just going to run through you. But one thing she can't do is just keep walking in there to pop, 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 pop. All right, come on, let me see what else you got. Pop, 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 pop. It was obvious that she was the stronger fighter, but I guess she just went with, I'm going to march her down, and I'm going to win a victory by pressing her out and keeping her on the ropes, you know? So, like I said, sometimes when you get to that level, it's just, you're one step away from either losing, you know, it could just be one thing that wasn't, because now, you know, great fighter. Katie Taylor is a great fighter. Amanda Serrano is a great fighter. You know what I'm saying? For them to come together and fight like that and put on a show like that, and I know they can make more money with the rematch because it was a good fight. It was a beautiful female, evenly matched fight on paper. Now, what they do with their skill set once they get in there, that's a whole different thing. Like I said, Amanda Serrano, I felt she dictated the pace. I felt she was winning until she started just disregarding Katie Taylor's punches and walking right into her punches and just eating her punches. I guess some people feel that it's not hurting me and I'm just going forward, ain't nothing on it. Yeah, but they're touching you. They're touching you. And sometimes Katie Taylor, a lot of times she was getting on first because Amanda was just walking her down. Like, what you got? What you got now? Boop, 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 boop. And then Amanda would land some nice shots, but then she would start walking right into punches again towards the end. To me, she should have used her feints, made Katie Taylor swing first, and came behind her and countered her. And after, Katie Taylor wasn't going to throw about 3 or 4 punches. But instead, Amanda just walked into those 3 or 4 punches and kept walking into those 3 or 4 punches. And the result was the result. I mean, that's kind of what I saw. I still think that if it would have went to Amanda Serrano, who I really was going for, I wanted her to win. If it went to her, it wouldn't have been no, oh, she got robbed or anything like that. That was one of those, it's going to go down to what the judges like. Right around the 6th, 7th, I was like, it's going to depend on what the judges like. If you like the fact that she's just dictating the fight, walking forward, then they're going to give it to her, like they do to a lot of fights. But if you're in there enough to say, well, she's coming forward, but she's walking into punches, then you might like Katie Taylor style. So, and let's not talk about the Liam Smith Vargas fight. I'm pretty sure Vargas is trying to find out where he should be in the boxing world, because he definitely doesn't need to be at 154. He is way too small for that. And he pretty much got shown that this week, you know, that he's too small for that division. Other than that, we had some pretty good fights. And pretty good things went on. And this is a tricky one right here, folks. Trying to get in this space. And we were able to have a great night of fights. I'm sorry, I'm trying to park this car in this tight space. We were able to have a great night of fights. I mean, nobody could have complained. The fights went well. They were very competitive. Like I said, Vargas, I think I'm sorry about that. I think Vargas, he doesn't belong in that weight class. He has a lot of heart, and he'll give a lot of 47s a lot of problems, but he was not going to do anything with a decent 154. You know what I'm saying? He was way too small, way too strong. He had a lot of heart, and sometimes heart takes away smart. But other than that, the main events were fire. A lot of fights down. Like, it was a good night of boxing. Like I said, tell me what you thought about the Randa Serrano fight, Katie Taylor fight. Tell me what you thought about Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez fight. One coach's opinion. I'm out.